Hi, it's Kirk. Welcome to the A.D.K Rock and Metal Show. So Andy and Dave cannot join me tonight, but I'm delighted to announce that I've got Jak Maden from the Manchester metallic hardcore unit Guilt Trip with us today. How are you doing, Jak?
Good, mate. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I was on annual leave last week, so I had a lot of time to catch up on music reviews, and of course, I was streaming Severance quite a bit. Returned to work this week, and this is the first interview this week, so looking forward to it. Before we start, though, I do need to actually begin with an apology from Andy. So he's
Oh,
told me just
let's
to read
hear it
this
then.
out. So when I said that we're interviewing Guilt Trip this week, he's got football training on Tuesdays, so he's probably driving on his way back now.
Yeah.
And he said, when we were doing it, he said, perhaps you can mention I became a big fan when I accidentally came across a track from River of Lies on a Spotify playlist, and it went on to become my favourite Spotify album of 2022.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, we've had a lot of success with them Spotify playlists, so I think we picked up a lot of fans in the past year on them. So that doesn't surprise me that he found it through that, to be fair.
I think it's a combination of both, that it was his favourite album and it was definitely the most played as well. So that's certainly the reason why he wanted to be chairing this interview, but I've beaten him to it. So let's begin though, because I actually discovered Guilt Trip only through Andy, and it was, what was the single you released earlier on this year? Was it?
We've done Sweet Dreams this year. And then we've done Broken Wings this year.
Broken Wings.
Is that the one?
That's the one, yeah. Because he was wearing a T-shirt. I saw him wearing a T-shirt. I was like, Guilt Trip? I assumed you were a hardcore band. So he was telling me about it. And then I think we responded to that single on the channel. We all loved it. But when I listen to you, I see you as a metal band. You know, Machine, Slayer, that type of music, which I love.
Yeah.
But one of the pervading, I guess, this is the way that it's been communicated, certainly in the underground. There's a feeling that the industry kind of ignored Guilt Trip, at the beginning.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
now,
for sure.
Obviously, it's gone 360. You've had articles in Kerrang. You've toured all over Europe. So what actually changed? What led to the reversal of, should we say, fortunes since that 2019 album?
I think just we definitely have changed the sound slightly, and I think the biggest part of the industry backing us more is just the signing to the label, and the lads in Malevolence just sort of giving us they've sort of paved the way for that. I think they've gone through a similar process as us, where they were seen as a hardcore band for years and years, and then suddenly they play like Bloodstock and Download, and then it takes quite a while, even when obviously it's not like we made a conscious decision to be like, we don't want to be in the hardcore scene. I think you just expand your horizons and go on tour with other bands that aren't necessarily hardcore. Like we did the Stray from the Path tour last year, and I think that was one of the boosters as well. And I think even Stray have come from the hardcore scene, but a lot of people see him as a metalcore band. It's such a broad spectrum, though, the hardcore label, really. So it's hard to really pinpoint a moment.
Yeah, because you get this question all the time, and I seem to be asking this of bands that come from a hardcore background, but I do still like to ask it. And I think this is more pertinent with Guilt Trip. Like you say, the sound has changed, hasn't it? I always, when I listen to music like this, I always think, at what point do you stop becoming a hardcore band and do you start becoming a metal band? Because
I don't think
you're
it's
already there now.
I don't think it's actually a decision the band makes. I think it's a decision that the fans make. Like newer listeners like yourself, where you thought, oh, we sound more like a metal band. whereas people that have known us for years probably still see us as a hardcore band just because that's our roots. But I think for a first-time listener, they'll probably, like you said, pick up more of the Machine Head vibes and 90s metal. So I think just from picking up new fans, especially in the next year or two, the hardcore label will probably start dripping away more and more, and then more people will be calling us a metal band. But to us, we'll probably always see ourselves as a hardcore band just because of where our roots are.
Yeah, that makes sense. And
yeah,
what is obviously like? Does that put a lot of pressure on you to be DIY if you're a hardcore band?
Not for us. No, I think we just want to make the music that we love, and to us, the sound that we're doing right now, the production needs to be as best as we can get, and we still are quite DIY in a sense that we sort out all our own merch designs and stuff like that. So we've still held on to that. But I mean, getting music videos, like we've been experimenting more with that. So we've probably strayed away from the DIY scene there, because our first video was doing that again, unless it's like someone that's come in specifically to film the live show. So yeah, I don't feel any pressure to be a DIY outfit anymore, I don't think, no.
Yeah, you're just writing music that you enjoy listening to and that has
exactly
something to say. Because I mean, it's impressive though. Like you always seem to be on the road. I was looking. You did a mini tour of Germany, the Netherlands, France, and Belgium back in April. So, what are some of your fondest memories from that mini tour that you did of mainland Europe?
Yeah, that was amazing, because we basically didn't have time to do a full tour because of the album. So we just thought we'd set a week aside, because we just really wanted to play some gigs, and they were all sold out apart from one, and to us that was like insane, because we've never had a tour that's sold out that we've been headlining. So it was just a nice little break from writing as well, and for them to be sold out, it was crazy. And I feel like that just came from the Stray tour. Like, we did a headline tour last year. That was our first ever one. We expected nothing from it. That one was amazing. Then we did the Stray one, and I think the momentum just built up into that little headline run we did. But like you said, I've had this discussion with a couple of people where they said we always seem to be busy, but we've only done 9 gigs this year. That's all we've done.
Well, that's soon going to change, though, isn't it? Because you're out on the road with Sylosis, excellent new album, Malevolence, so it's a joint headlining tour between those two titans, and then you're on there as well. And I've been looking at this. So it begins on the 7th of November, and it ends on the 12th. This is just this tour. And there are 29 days in 4 weeks, just over 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So what kind of day jobs and responsibilities have to go on hold when you do a gargantuan tour?
We're actually really lucky with that. I work for the label that we're on, so they're quite understanding. I mean, the people that are on the label are in Malevolence, and I'll be with them on the tour, so they know that I'm not going to be in work. And then the singer Jay and the drummer Tom both work for like family businesses, so they're quite lucky where there's a bit of leniency. And then our guitarist Sam gets loads of holidays somehow, but I think next year he might have to drop that, or we'll have to see. It's one of them where we're going to have to just see as things come what he can manage. But up to now, we've been absolutely fine. Quite lucky, really.
Is this the best part of being in a band for you, getting out on the road and playing your music to people who want to be there?
Yeah, 100%. I think even when we're writing the music, we're thinking about the live setting. it's obviously the best part of being in a band, just doing the shows. I mean, touring's quite grueling, and it's probably only really good for half an hour to an hour every day while you play, and then the rest of it sometimes can suck because you just sat in a van. Really, it's not as luxurious as people would imagine. It's just on the motorway, service stations, and cheap hotels. That's all it is. But obviously, it's worth it. That's a one-off. Driving 18 hours there, playing 30 minutes, it makes it worth it if it's a good set. But this Malevolence one's the longest we've ever done by far. I think the longest before this was 17 days, so it's almost double the amount of time we'll be away. So we're just going to have to make it as comfortable as we can, make sure we've got a decent place to stay every night, and that's what we're doing tonight. Actually, we're getting some hotels booked in and planning it out a bit.
Yeah, do you know what comes across in the music, certainly on this new album? I said this in my review. There's a real sense of self-belief amongst the band members, and there's a lot of that energy on the record, which is just infectious. And those 32 minutes just fly by. My only criticism, I don't often say this about an album, I probably wouldn't have minded 45 to 50 minutes to be honest.
Yeah. I don't think we'll ever do an album that goes past 40 minutes. Just we like keeping it all compact. I'm not saying any album over 40 minutes is full of filler, but that's just something that we really don't want to do, is put any filler in. And some people think we should add more like chorus sections and whatnot and repeat parts, but I think it's just flowing naturally like that for us at the minute. Maybe one day it'll change a little bit and we'll write some longer songs, but at the minute it seems to be working for us. I mean, our biggest song's less than 2 minutes, I think. Thin Ice. So it's like we must be doing something right.
It is rare that I say that, because I review an album every day. So my aim is to review one every day for Screammaster Pete, which I'm way ahead of that. And trust me, when I get sent a black metal album that's 70 minutes long, I'm praying for something that's 25 minutes. I think you have got it just right. It's like when you listen to those Dillinger Escape Plan albums, absolutely perfect, the length of those albums, because they're so intense. I even know there's a lot of experimentation on them. So let's actually talk about your latest album, Severance, then. Now, for our viewers, this album came out on the 22nd of September. Is it your third or your second full-length album?
Technically, it's our third. Our first album was 2016, and we deleted it from everything. It was kind of one of them things where we did an album, we weren't ready. And then we wrote an EP shortly after that, which was Unrelenting Force, which sort of put us on the map. So we just got rid of the old one because it was that bad. We just didn't want people to come across the band and that be the first thing they checked out. So we got rid of it, but it's surfaced on YouTube. If anyone wants to punish themselves, they can check it out. Yeah. So it's the third.
Can you imagine if Carcass had had their way and Reek of Putrefaction never saw the light of day? You wouldn't have the subgenre of Dogland. I mean, that album, as Jeff Walker described it, is a musical abortion. It is the worst production of all time.
Yeah,
but it actually does have some charm, doesn't it? It's so extreme.
Yeah, I think if a lot of bands could have the chance to take some of their old music away, a lot of them probably would. But it's a learning curve at the end of the day, isn't it? I don't think we'll get rid of anything now. I do a couple good sections and stuff, but it was mostly the production.
Yeah, fair enough. I can see how, especially because you know how you wanted those songs to sound in your head. And when that does not translate and it sounds probably 30% of what you expected, it's heartbreaking, really, isn't it? Because you can't fix it. So
yeah, that's what's so good about Severance. It sort of sounds exactly like we wanted it to, because we've been working with a guy called Robin Adams, and he's really understanding and patient with us takes us a while to get to that point, but I think we share the same vision when we start a record with him.
Yeah, it is an excellent production. When I say that, I just mean that there's so much clarity in the drums, especially those double kick drums.
Oh yeah,
really chunky guitar tone. Is it right? Have you gone from a quintet to a quartet? Are there still 5 members in the band?
So right now, there's 4 of us, but we do have a bassist coming on the Malevolence tour, and it's a situation where if they enjoy the tour, because it's so long, if they want to join after experiencing a tour, because they've never toured before, the person. So if they come along and enjoy it, then they can join. They played with us at the festivals this year and smashed it. So we asked them to come along to the Malevolent tour, and then after that, if they enjoy it and think touring's like something they can see themselves doing in the future, then they'll join the band. So we will be a 5-piece live no matter what. Yeah, always. Yeah.
Good. So yeah, let's talk about some of the songs on the album then. So I always like to ask this: what was the most difficult song to compose during the writing and recording sessions for Severance?
The hardest song to write. Ooh, it probably. Sanctified, featuring Mike Juice from Lower Than Atlantis. I think we went back and forth on that for a while. We did try to tailor the song to suit him, and then we just scrapped it really and just did a guilt trip song, and I think that was the better direction for it, because I think we were thinking a bit too much about his part, and we didn't even have the part yet. But we were thinking about what he would do, rather than just writing a song and him doing what he thought would suit it. I think we went into it with the wrong approach. So that one was probably the longest writing process. I think we went back and forth on that for weeks. And
I like how that's track number 9. I like how the outro riff from The Gates, that great song you have with Malevolence, you continue that riff, don't you, at the beginning of Sanctified?
Pretty much, yeah. It's
the transition. I really liked his vocals in that. I mean, I've never really listened to Lower Than Atlantis. I know at one point they were on Century Media, weren't they? So they were a big concern.
Oh yeah, huge band,
yeah, within British hardcore music. His vocals are excellent in that. Do you know what? It almost reminds me of Deftones, the way he goes in that chorus. But yeah, I agree. I love how track number 8, though, The Gates, goes into Sanctified. So what, in your opinion, then, is the most technical song on this album?
The most technical would be Broken Wings, I think. We know that just because we've been practicing it, and it's the hardest one to play, because it like switches from clean sections to heavier ones, and then there's singing. There's quite a lot of lead parts on it.
Yeah.
For us, it's quite out there. I think that's definitely the most technical, and I think track 2 is definitely the most technical for our drummer Tom. The intro to the second track, it's just crazy. So I think that's the one he's dreading.
Surrounded by Pain. Do you know, that's what I would, as a reviewer, I picked up on that. I think that is very technical, that song. You're right.
Yeah.
There's so many different parts to it. And I mean, I'll tell you what I wrote down, because I make notes on an album. This is what I wrote down when I was listening to it. This is a hardcore band that loves Machine Head. I love, by the way, how Jay just goes, "Come on!" and introduces the adrenaline surge from that. So, but cool Phrygian mode riffing. Yeah, there's like a harmonic minor type guitar phrasing in there.
Yeah.
Nothing overproduced about the double kick drums. It isn't that typewriter sound at all, but you can still hear the
yeah.
And it just makes me feel 7 feet tall, this song. It gives you that feeling of invincibility, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Baseball guitar solo. Is that you?
That's me, yeah.
Yeah. Quite early on, well, halfway through, 1 minute 35, really well thought out. The vocals are seething throughout. And then I've put here, yeah, superb breakdown at 2 minutes 10 seconds, like Terror interpreting Employed to Serve. I know, obviously, you've played records with Terror. And I've put, this is quite a technical song when you listen to the cogency of the drum work. So yeah, I picked it out because of the drum work. Riff soup, well, this, it's just riff after riff.
Yeah. We've actually, one of the riffs in that song's from the first album that we did get rid of. It was just one of the standout riffs from that album. We wanted to bring it back. We did change it up slightly, but it's like you said about the drums not being overproduced. There's absolutely no samples in there or nothing at all. It's just all natural drums that we did in Leeds. And I think Tom's obviously really proud of that because we didn't want to follow the direction of like modern production now. We wanted it to sound real, and we wanted to come out live and not have to have backing tracks and triggers on the drums and stuff. We wanted it to just us be able to actually perform the music as it sounds on the record. And I think in the next few years it might actually go back that way, because I think right now some of the music's just so overproduced. It's almost like AI, and it's not got any feeling to it anymore, and we just didn't want to follow that. Obviously we wanted it to sound professional and modern, but not the way it's going at the minute. We wanted it to be raw, really, and I think we got it spot on.
Yeah, I think that's why you're seeing a backlash against certain bands are becoming divisive. Obviously, the main example is Lorna Shore. I think some of the stuff is great, but the drums, it's just so triggered, isn't it? It's so overproduced. And a lot of people who listen to like first wave black metal, metallic hardcore, even old school death metal, they're listening to that and they're just thinking, there's nothing here.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a divide at the minute. See a lot of conversations on Twitter about it, and some people it'll really, really suit them, and certain bands it does sort of fit that. But I think as a whole, people want to hear something a bit more natural now, and I think it's just gone that step too far, and I think that's what's making people want to just rein it in a little bit now.
Yeah, because like when you listen to Knocked Loose or Guilt Trip or that band who was supporting you at that Sheffield show, they're from London, aren't they? Negative Frame. Great
Negative
band.
Frame, yeah.
That new EP, I loved that. Again, like you, they just seem to have evolved into this like almost like a technical metal band without knowing it.
Yeah, we've played. Oh, they supported us on the London date. They jumped on the show, and that's when I first saw them. I think that was the first time the lads seen them, and that's where we started knowing who that band were, and that's what's ended up getting us to get them on the show, because we seen them and they're really good live, and they're young lads, and I think they're hungry to be out there and play gigs and stuff. It's a good band.
Yeah, definitely. Should go and check them out. So, lyrically, is there a song, or which song on this album best captures the ethos of Guilt Trip as a band?
Ooh, Eyes Wide Shut, I think. It's just really aggressive, snappy, catchy. It's got like a few backing vocals from our guitarist Sam as well. And the lyrics are just in your face, I guess. So I'd say Eyes Wide Shut. Yeah. For me, anyway.
What is it about that song? You know, I mean, you don't have to. If you want to keep it cryptic, that's fine.
You know what? I don't actually know what all the lyrics mean all the time, and sometimes, and they're just not what they are.
Is Jay writing most of the lyrics?
Jay is. He's here right now. If you want me to ask him what it's about, what's Eyes Wide Shut about? That's a good example. So an example would be, say, a band like Not Loose release a song, and people that already don't like the band will just say it's a shit song without listening.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's like an example of what like Eyes Wide Shut means in that song. So it's kind of just ignorance, I guess, and like that
And then
sort of thing
willingness
in
to
it.
have an open mind and to be open to the possibility of changing your opinion.
Exactly, that's it. I think
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, but like I said, I'm pretty rubbish with lyrics and stuff. I'm just gonna stick to riffs, I think,
You,
because
I'm going to say you're providing the reps, aren't you?
yeah, that's what I'm gonna stick to.
So, a couple more things about the album. What inspired the instrumental transitional piece, "Reaching Paradise"?
Reaching Paradise. I was actually at the the Malevolence warehouse where the label is, and I had my guitar and I just started noodling on my dinner time, and that came out. And then I was staying at our drummer's house a few nights a week when we was writing. We were writing every weekend, but some days after work I'd go and stay with him, and we'd get a lot of riffs down, and we wrote it not really with any intention of using it, and then it just became like an instrumental. We've always had an instrument, so we wanted to do another one. I just think it's nice to have something in there that's like a palate cleanser, and then when we went to record it properly, we added like the strings and stuff. I think there's a cello in the background, and that was Josh's idea from Malevolence, because I was recording the guitars with him, and he suggested trying that out, so we did that, and it's become like a lot of people really enjoy it. I think it's just because it's quite surprising. There's quite a few tracks on the album that you could open a show with, and I think that's one of them that you could as well, or close the show with that.
Yeah, I agree. It serves the album well, doesn't it? You use the term palette cleanser. I see a transitional point because then it leads into Broken Wings, doesn't it? So really good how it prepares you for that. How much of a risk was closing track Dusk, or how much of a risk did you think it was at the time when you were writing this? Because this is almost a power ballad, isn't it?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think any of us worried about it at all. We just thought people are going to get it or they're not. And we have had a few reviews that didn't understand why we'd finish the album with it. And have even said there'd be nowhere else to put it in the album. And it was what I said to the lads, it's kind of like watching a film and it just has a sad ending. That's all it is to us, really, rather than some explosive ending. That's how I see it. And when we decided the track listing, we all just agreed on that straight away to end the album. It's quite abrupt, the ending at the end, and that was like a purposeful thing as well, because it was going to fade out, that track, and we decided to just have it stop dead. It's as if like it kind of catches you out when you listen to it front to back, and I think it'll make people just want to go through the album again. I hope so.
Yeah, nothing wrong with second guessing the listener's instincts, especially listening to heavy music. So for me, I think it was a glorious way to end the album.
Thank you.
I really like your guitar playing on that. There's some interesting hammer-on and pull-off passages in there. It's like you've been listening to Hetfield and Hammett,
Exactly.
With a great folk guitar playing on Ride the Lightning. Do you know what does it for me on this, though? I think Jay hits all the right notes. He shows that he's got a good singing voice as well. That, to me, would have been the risk. When you hear a heavy band and then the singer will try to sing. I don't know, has he taken lessons? Because this seemed quite professional to me, the way that he phrased it and hit all the right notes.
It's quite funny, actually. It's Jay's brother. It's actually Jake's little brother that does the singing on that track. Yeah. So I think, obviously, with them being brothers, it does sound like you can't tell that it's not Jay, really. We have been trying to convince Jay to have some sort of lessons. He can sing, he just doesn't have the confidence to do it. And obviously, if his brother can do that, I'm sure he can. But yeah, we got Noah in to come come and finish the album off with that track. And I think Jay does like it when people think it's him just to like have a laugh with his brother about it. Really, it's not like an ego thing. It's just a bit of banter between him and his brother. But hopefully one day Jay will be singing like that.
Well, listen to that new Code Orange record. Reba Mayers, Jamie Morton, they've really stepped things up. And each album from them, they just get better as vocalists, don't they? Especially Reba Mayers. I think she's excellent on that new record.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the last one.
Yeah, I mean, what did you think, by the way, of the album that came out the week after yours, The Above by Code Orange? Have you heard it yet?
The most recent one, I've not listened to front to back. I love the last one, the Underneath. If it's anything like that, I'm sure I'll like it. I have heard the track with it's Billy Corgan that's on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That one was pretty cool. I like the chorus. I've not had a chance to listen to the full thing yet.
Yeah, I guess with you though, because as a band, you probably want to insulate yourself from too much outside influences, don't you? Because you just want to do your own thing, and the way you've evolved, like you said, you've not consciously just thought, right, let's bring in Machine Head, let's bring in Slayer, Cro-Mags, out goes Madball. It's an organic process, isn't it? And
it is, yeah, and it's quite it's subconscious as well. You don't really think like, oh, we'll write a bit here that sounds like this band. It's just probably because you listen to a record. But there was a while after the album where I didn't really listen to much metal for a couple of weeks because you're just exhausted from writing and recording it. So I'll probably get back to that. And there's been a few new records like the Arms Way one, Code Orange, that I need to check out properly.
Yeah, there's some great stuff coming out this year. So before we end the interview then, this is a question that probably people would ask Malevolence when they were starting out, and now it's come full circle.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to a young metallic hardcore band starting out tomorrow whose aspirations are to get a record deal and go on tour around Europe?
Okay. First thing I'd say is don't rush your first release. Make sure you're happy with it. Take your time with it. There's no like deadline if you're not a band yet properly. So don't worry about. It's not like us. In 4 years, people will be asking where the next album is. You don't have any of that pressure. Make sure you're happy with the recording of it. There's nothing wrong with a demo as your first release, but do it to the best of your ability. There's always people that are friends of friends that can help out. People that are at uni that need to do a project. Don't just release something that sounds absolutely shocking. Production-wise, there's always like a way around it that's affordable or even free. And then I'd say play as many shows as take time out straight away. Just keep grinding at it, keep writing music, and I think the best advice you can have is just don't cut corners where you don't have to, and take your time with the music. Like we cut corners early on and rushed things, and it didn't benefit us at all. We had to just start again, essentially. So I'd say the best advice is that just don't cut corners if possible.
You've learned the hard way. I do like what you said. Yeah. I remember watching the Rob Flynn podcast. I can't remember who he was interviewing. He said, Machine Head, you've got to be shit in your first few shows.
You do, yeah.
Don't be downhearted by it.
That's the thing, as much of advice as you can give people, sometimes it's good to make all the mistakes you can make. It just makes you stronger. Like, we've made every mistake in the book. We still do it now, even little tiny ones. And you just learn from it, and you won't be the band that you are without making them mistakes at the end of the day. And if you just breeze through it, you probably won't appreciate the reward when you do get it.
Yeah, wise words. I'm just going to end them with a quote. When I reviewed the album for Scream Blast Repeat, I've got it up here, and I'm talking about the song Eyes Wide Shut. And I put, here the shadow of the guillotine leaves you in fear as each successive beatdown riff cuts closer to the flesh than the last one. Imagine knocked loose, transported back to the era of Burn My Eyes. Guitarist Jak Maden teases the natural harmonic vibrations from his guitar strings, like Rob Flynn preferring for a celebrity deathmatch with Phil Anselmo. Do you remember that MTV show?
I don't know.
Celebrity deathmatch, yeah. I just love those, those natural harmonics on the strings when you put them in the riffs.
Oh, a lot of them in the record. 296 there is in the record.
I like how you counted it.
Yeah, I did.
Can you remember how many riffs are on the record?
I don't know how many riffs, but I just know how many harmonics.
Superb. Well, thanks very much for joining us. Please go out, go and see Guilt Trip on tour. You actually start the tour in, is it Manchester or London?
It starts in Glasgow and then Manchester's after that.
Yeah, and then you're doing the album promo show at the end of it, aren't you, in Sheffield?
Yeah. I think we have one day at home and then we go and do that.
Yeah. So if you can't catch a show, the most important thing: buy merch, buy the vinyl if you can. Severance, the album is out on MLV Limited, or the Malevolence label. It came out on the 22nd of the 9th. Good Spotify streaming numbers you've got as well, but surely you want people to buy the physical product, don't you?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Get an album that you can treasure, put it in your collection, read through the linear notes. See, I'm to blame here. If I'd have bought the album, I would have known that Jay's younger brother did the vocals on track number 12. So there's another reason to it. So yeah, thanks for joining us, Jak, and best of luck organising your hotels this evening for the tour of Europe.
Thank you very much, mate. Have a great evening.
You're welcome. Absolute pleasure.
Cheers.